Something incredible has happened to redheads and gingers. I don't know if you know, but many people of the black community have came out and said that they see redheads and gingers aligned with many of the genetic features and the characteristics of black women. This has really brought up such an important issue because many of these gorgeous women are coming forward and saying that they can identify that something is off with the way that redheads are treated by many people in the white community. And this is something difficult thing to talk about because it's not racism. I don't know where that falls, but being born with red hair and super pale skin but not feeling accepted is a really, really tough spot to be in. You get bullied from a young age, you're made to believe it's horrible, people insult you without even meaning to. Some of the things that people have said to me because I have ginger hair growing up has been the most unhinged experience of my life. I once met a woman who came up to me and she said, "I like your ginger hair, but honestly my biggest fear when I was pregnant was that I was gonna give birth to a ginger baby," and I didn't know what to say, and I just was like, okay. She's like, and I'm really sorry for saying this, she was like, but I actually think I would prefer a child with a disability than red hair. And that is genuinely, hand on heart, what someone has said to me. That is just honestly not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the type of comments that you're experiencing when you're growing up with red hair. So for people in the black community to come out and call out that something is not right in the way that people with red hair are treated, and to call out the fact that something is off, is the best thing that could happen.
I really don't understand why a black woman would get on this internet and say all white people, redhead gingers, are black. I don't care what she is. She don't speak for all black people. And the comment section of her video is disgusting. It's all these white people who are ginger saying like, oh, I knew I was invited to the cookout. I knew I had a kinship to y'all, blah, blah, blah. And what's making it worse is there are literally gingers making videos saying that they knew that because they've been attracted to black people their whole life, that they were different. And it's making me sick to my stomach. She got on the internet without a shred of credibility, without a shred of citations, and just said something. And then it took off, and everybody's acting like her word is Lord. Those people are white. They live their day-to-day life as white people. They benefit from being white. They are not black. I don't care what color their hair is. I'm really annoyed that she would post something like that, and of course it goes super viral, and all these white people are taking her word as law. She does not speak for the entirety of the black community at all.
In the ever-churning world of TikTok trends, some jokes land harder than others, not because they are funny, but because they tap into something real. That's exactly what happened when a creator declared all gingers are black people.
I just need to remind y'all again, everyone who is ginger, who has red hair, those are black people. All gingers are black people. If they have red hair, they are black. You see a white man with red hair, that's a black man. You see a white woman with red hair, that's a black woman. Gingers are black. All gingers.
Sparking a viral movement that was equal parts satire, solidarity, and soul-searching.
I know I look terrible. I just woke up, got out of bed, saw one of the most beautiful videos ever. It was about me. I've hit a lot of pain in my life. A lot. And I'm now able to talk about it. I woke up going viral, getting thousands of followers, support, love, comments, DMs, feeling truly wanted. And now it's time to talk about my story. The story of 4 black men who impacted my life like no other. From first grade to today. I've known these men for like 26 plus years. I get to talk about them and my story.
What began as a quirky internet joke just quickly turned into an unexpected moment of cross-racial connection. Redhead creators shared stories of alienation, and they were met with warmth, support, and even love from Black TikTok users. The trend, dubbed "Gingers Are Black," just took off for its feel-good energy, but it also raised complex questions about identity. Can shared experiences of exclusion bridge racial divides, or does the meme flatten distinctions that still matter in the real world? This essay explores how a viral soundbite became a mirror reflecting deeper truths and tensions about race, belonging, and the boundaries of empathy in today's age. That being said, let me introduce myself. Hi guys, my name is Drew. Welcome to my channel. This channel speaks about whatever I want to speak about, whether trendy or not. So if deep dives, commentary, video essays, documentaries are your cup of tea and you want to see me next week, kindly like, share, subscribe if you care. And that being said, let's get straight into this video. So a few weeks ago, this random TikTok clip just started blowing up. It featured this redhead guy with a beard just smiling into the camera and saying all gingers are black. Yeah, that's what he said. At first, it sounded completely wild, like one of those jokes that is so out there you just laugh because of how ridiculous it is. But here's where things just get interesting. Instead of just laughing and moving on, people, specifically other redheads, they just started responding, but not in a jokey way either. A bunch of them just stitched the video and they were tearing up, and they were also talking about how they grew up being bullied for their hair, they grew up being called names, being made fun at school, and always feeling like outsiders. And now, suddenly, there was this random wave of love just coming from Black TikTok. Black creators and viewers, they just started flooding the comments and stitches with heart emojis and messages like "we are rocking with you" because they're rocking with us. Like full-on support, just straight up vibes came from the community that is Black people. What started off as this weird little joke about gingers being black somehow turned into this genuine, sweet, wholesome moment. Two groups, both with their own histories of being othered or like misunderstood, they came together and they found this common ground. The internet gave it a name to #GingersAreBlack, and for a while, at least online, it just felt like a real unexpected show of solidarity. So yeah, this gingers are black trend didn't just fizzle out after one video. It exploded across TikTok and beyond, literally lighting up social media feeds everywhere. One particular video that was created by a TikToker named is Diara the Root Worker racked over like 50 million views. Literally, she said all gingers are black people. Just that line.
I just need to remind y'all again, everyone who is ginger, who has red hair, those are black people. All gingers are black people. If they have red hair, they are black. You see a white man with red hair, that's a black man. You see a white woman with red hair, that's a black woman. Gingers are black. All gingers.
But that sentence hit like a match on dry grass, and suddenly there was this emotional flood. Redhead creators, they started pouring their hearts out. This wasn't any funny skits or like light-hearted replies. They were full-on teary-eyed, they were crying, they were making all these confessions about growing up isolated and different. They talked about how they were being called aliens, vampires, or just straight up bullied for their pale skin and their bright red hair. So people said they were being treated differently. That means they were not even loved like their other siblings were, because their other siblings would have had like a brown or black hair, but because they had the ginger hair, their parents didn't treat them as much or as kind as they treated their siblings. But then came this unexpected twist. These same people just started waking up to waves of comments from Black people, messages that were filled with warmth, with compliments, with support, and most of all love, just were given to these redhead creators. One redhead TikToker, Gentle Nudgings, just broke down on camera saying, "I've never had community, not this big, not this constant. This is amazing."
Okay, seriously, I gotta say, I just can't. My whole feed is full of these marvelous, wonderful Black people, this Black community coming on, telling us how much they love the gingers. And then once in a while, I get, there's someone that comes up and they're like, "So I've heard about the gingers saying they're Black people, and they look kind of grumpy or whatever." And I'm like, oh, and I know you guys get this. The first thing that comes to my mind is like, oh yeah, here it comes. Here's the rejection. Here's the people don't want us, and you just go, okay, take a deep breath. You're like, okay, what, and then they go, welcome. And it's just, it never fails. Every time it just it just hits me and I get tears in my eyes and I'm like, I've never had community, not this big, not this constant. This is amazing. You guys, we love you. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much. Can't even tell you how much this really means to all of us. Seriously. Let's just share the love. Let's keep it going. Love it.
And that redhead just fully sobbed, thanking black women for healing a soul of my soul today, in quotes. A lot of these videos started to touch on something deeper. They weren't just about red hair anymore. They were about shared experiences, about what it means to be othered. One creator actually said that when she was in school, her classmates would show her off like this rare collectible, the same way that they bragged about knowing other black people, as if diversity just had its weird social limit. Like, basically, it was like she was something that they could collect, not something that they could connect with. Other red hair just pointed out how people would constantly try to touch her hair without permission. Does this sound familiar? Does this literally sound familiar? Because that's something that we black people have been calling out for years. The conversations just shifted from memes to real talks about fetishization and personal boundaries. And of course, TikTok being TikTok, people just started dropping signs too. Some people even broke down the actual genetics behind red hair, specifically the MC1R gene mutation, which scientists say is ancient and can actually be traced to parts of North Africa. And when you zoom out, biologically speaking, all melanin, the pigment that gives color to hair, skin, and eyes, originated from Africa. So technically, we are all connected in some deep biological way. These TikTok stories just wove together into these unexpected but beautiful narratives. Redheads, especially in Western white majority societies, often felt like the black people of the white race.
I do think that redheads are kind of like the light skins or the black people of white people, and because of that, we will always have like a certain bond, I think, with other minorities.
It wasn't about pretending that their experiences were identical. It was more like building a bridge, a shared understanding, and guess what? People ran with it. It was met with so much love, so much kindness, and so much empathy. And black people, they filled the comments of these redhead creators with words like, "We are with you, you're not alone." I never thought that I would hear a white person say that they wish that they were black. Wow, like, this is beautiful, this is powerful. Like, people were like really showing the redhead community love. One video went especially viral. It was a black woman, visibly emotional, shared that she and her child were so happy to see a redhead girl saying that she loved being black. And then there was that moment when the new live action Little Mermaid trailer dropped. Hailey Bailey, a black woman, was known as Ariel. Videos went around of little black girls and their moms just watching, both of them crying, just overwhelmed to see themselves in a character that they had grown up loving. So here we have two things literally happening side by side. Black audiences are celebrating themselves finally being able to be seen in mainstream media, and at the same time extending that love to redheads who's long felt unseen. It was this rare, honest human moment online, two different groups just coming together through empathy, and it was honestly kind of beautiful. Like, it was so beautiful. But now listen, as adorable and surprisingly healing as the hashtag Gingers Are Black trend has been, we have to talk about the other side of this, because as warm and fuzzy as it all felt online, this trend has also stirred up some very complicated but yet real questions. Here's the deal. Being a ginger isn't a race. It's not even an ethnicity. It's a trait, just a hair color that comes from genetic mutation. Red hair, green eyes, pale skin, they are all physical characteristics, and they are what scientists call phenotypes. And in literal terms, redheads are not black people. The Irish, Scottish, and other Celtic folks that we usually associate with red hair, they have their own long, rich, and very painful history. No one is denying that. The Irish in particular, they were severely oppressed under the British rule. Like, they experienced famine, they experienced forced migration, they experienced criminalized languages, and a lot of suffering. And this is important important. The experience of being Irish or Celtic, even in the worst of time, is not the same as the systemic oppression faced by black people, especially those in the Africa diaspora. And here's why. Over time, the Irish, they were gradually folded into what we call whiteness. That's what we call whiteness now. So they were gradually folded into what we now call whiteness. Historically, they weren't always considered white. Yeah, they weren't really, like, they weren't considered white. But after generations, they were allowed into this protected category. History has come out to say that all these times, the Irish immigrants who once faced deep discrimination, they were eventually embraced as white. And with that came access to privileges that were never extended to black communities. So when people just started saying gingers are black, even if they said it in a very sweet and joking way, honestly, it got a little tricky because the social reality behind the statement doesn't match up. You can trace all human beings, yes, redheads included. You can trace them back to Africa if you go back far enough. That's literally what science tells us. Geneticists even talk about mitochondrial Eve, and basically it's this ancient African woman from whom all of us on our mother's side are descended. This is very, very incredible. But let's be clear, that's deep ancestry. That's evolutionary biology. Race, as we live and understand of it today, isn't about ancient genetic truth. It's about recent ancestries. It's about visible features, and most of all, it's about the social power structures. Saying we all came from one black woman, so technically we are all black, is scientifically accurate but socially confusing and very, very misleading, because blackness today is not just melanin, it's a lived identity, one that's been shaped by colonialism, by slavery, by segregation, and ongoing systemic racism.
Y'all, this is so funny. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You have black people who are actively trying to bring false narratives in order to protect the people who have never once protected us. First of all, you're using a stereotype. Not all Irish people are ginger. Like, that is a whole stereotype. That just shows me that you really don't know what you're talking about at first. But only 10% of Irish people have red hair. So you're talking about 10% of people. But let's keep going. Even though the Irish people have faced hardship, it does not compare to the hardships that black people, you guys are claiming them to be black because they face hardship. And I've never heard anybody bring up the potato famine, and I'm honestly kind of anyways. But this comparison is very inaccurate and offensive. Trying to equate temporary ethnic prejudices to centuries of racialized hereditary slavery it's just not right. You're comparing a time period to ongoing systematic racism that is actively happening to black people. With that mindset, anybody that has faced prejudices for who they are would be considered black. There are Asians who have faced prejudices for being Asian, the Mongolians by the Chinese, Taiwan. Does that make them black because they have faced prejudices? Does that make them black? Like, this logic does not make any sense. The potato famine was not a genocide. These people were not forced to go into slavery. They were starved. Yes, many people back then were starved. There was famine all throughout the land. It was affecting a lot of different countries, not just the Irish. They were free people. They were able to assimilate into whiteness. The claim that redheads were burned like witches for being ginger is, I don't know if you know this, but that's folklore. There's no historic evidence that supports that. You can fact check that. That is not even true. So you're just trying to use narratives to support your logic that doesn't even make sense. Irish people were not slaves, and even if they were indentured servants, like I said before, it was contractual and it was temporary. Slavery was permanent. It was defined by race. Irish people were, or gingers or whatever, in the fact that they were, because not all gingers were indentured servants. And typically the only reason why indentured servitude was a thing was because of debt. These people had debt. They were not taken because they were ginger. That's not what happened. They were individuals who had their own issues with their masters, quote unquote. I don't know the exact word, but these people were not taken and held because of who they were. They had debt to these people. The idea that y'all are trying to push that redheads were not seen as white is completely false. They have always been seen as white. Even though they were considered quote unquote ethnically different, they were always seen as white in white America. They quickly gained access to the privilege of whiteness. You didn't see them getting discriminated in the 60s when we were getting discriminated, not being able to sit at the same bar as them or go inside the same movie theaters or go to the same schools. They were not a part of that history. Being that they were indentured servants does not take away the fact that they have been in situations as overseers, as masters, because they were slave masters who had red hair. Red hair has nothing to do with race. White people have red hair. They can have red hair and be a slave master. That mindset is so stupid. Anyways, Irish Americans rose to power in systems that oppressed Black people and are still a part of those systems that systematically push and keep Black people down today. The Irish history is tragic. Yes, the potato famine, they starved to death. But like I said, not all Irish people are redhead. And the fact that you use this for your little comment, it just shows that you're just trying to revision history to fit your narrative. But reducing Black identity and generational trauma to claim, oh, we're all oppressed together, they can be Black because they were bullied and called Carrot Top. It's historically wrong and it's very dismissive. And the fact that you're Black and you're trying to accept these people into our communities, it's honestly embarrassing. And no one is saying that you cannot support these people and call them beautiful, but saying that they're Black and allowing them to say that they are Black and use Black American, African American vernacular and use harmful stereotypes, that's not supportive. That is not a positive way, Mr. Shaw. That's not positive at all. So yeah, I don't know what you were talking about in your comment, but none of the things that you said is historically accurate, and it's obvious that you are just putting things together to fit a narrative that doesn't exist. But thank you.
So yeah, it's totally fair to say that a red-haired teenager getting bullied in high school went through something painful. Absolutely. No one is dismissing that. But being teased for freckles or hair color, as real and as hurtful as that is not the same as growing up Black in a system that has consistently criminalized, humanized, and also oppressed people for their skin color. In sociology, like I said, we call this phenotype versus identity. Your hair color is a phenotype, it's a trait, but your identity is something that is much deeper. It's about belonging, it's about how the world sees you, and it's about how the world also treats you. Ginger hair is not an identity that has been historically targeted by empires just to justify slavery or weaponized by law enforcement. Blackness tragically has. Before the 1600s, people didn't really think of themselves as white. The concept had to be invented. Literally, it was manufactured. I tear from my eye, my left eye most especially, and it can be so annoying, so please bear with me. I'm just already used to it, well, please bear with me. But honestly, as I was saying, that concept was invented. The concept of whiteness was invented. It was literally manufactured, and it was manufactured to just justify things like slavery and colonization. Whiteness was created to draw a line. It was created to separate who could have power and who couldn't. And over time, more and more groups like the Irish, they were brought into that white category. But Black people, they've always been pushed to the other side of the line.
Let's not take this into the next week. If you have alabaster skin and red hair, identify as a ginger, let me be clear, you are not Black. You never were. You never will be. Okay? I get the excitement because a lot of our ancestors from the Caucasus Mountains, they want the rhythm, never the blues. So stay in your lane, be clear, you are not Black and you're not invited to the cookout. In fact, the person who extended that invitation returned to sender. because she's banned from the cookout. I'm seeing all your videos, dancing and cosplaying blackness. Like, I was gonna say I can't blame you because she opened the door for it, but I can blame you because you should know better. And we're not gonna pretend that you don't. So if you want to be in community, sure, do the work to deconstruct. Don't serve as obstructionist. Tell the truth, even when it's difficult and there's blowback on you. Do that work, and it's cool. Like, it doesn't take a lot. Like, y'all, and not just you, gingers, but y'all get so uncomfortable around blackness. You just don't know what to do. You want to be with us and be like us, but you only want the joy that comes with being around us. It's not how authentic relationships are built. So you had fun. It's a couple days with it. It's over. Okay? Okay.
So when we see a light-skinned, green-eyed, red-haired person crying because she feels seen by the black community, that is so beautiful. That is solidarity. That's so searching. But we have to be very careful because sometimes what starts as an empathy can slip into erasure, and that is when things just get so murky.
We need to go and buy us a Hellcat, all right? It's got to be fly too. We're going to immediately put some rims on it. 800 credit score. We got that. All right. Next thing. Kids. Dad's going to go get some milk. I'll be right back.
Y'all see? Yeah, y'all want to invite everybody to the cookout. Gingers are black now. We could empathize for the fact that they were bullied and you're not treated so well in their white community, but they're not us. If they had to choose and they had to pick a side, they're going to go with their clear counterparts. If a war, God forbid, were to break out, they ain't going to be fighting on the side of us. They are not going to be fighting on the side of right. I do not know of any ginger activists, any ginger leaders, any ginger allies that stood in solidarity with the black community. I have not seen any. Historically, I haven't seen any pictures of them. Maybe they do exist, but I don't know them. We don't know. Look at how he literally went into the stereotypical what he perceives black people to be. We have low credit scores. Black fathers are absentees. They don't take care of their kids. Immediately, it took all of a couple business days for one of them to rear their true nature. Not all, but enough is enough. We just watch Sinners. They're not going to come to you acting like they're your enemy. They're going to come to you like they're your friend. But at the end of the day, the truth will always prevail. They know that they ain't you. Black people, stop being so friendly. Stop being so fucking thirsty to be inclusive with people that are not that way with you. Spread love is the Brooklyn way.
Think about it. What if a non-Jewish person posted online and was like, we're all Jews at heart, or said, felt so proud to be Jewish without being part of the Jewish community? That would probably raise eyebrows. It might even be called tone deaf. The same logic literally applies here. Saying gingers are black might sound inclusive, but it also risks flattening out the real and distinct experiences of each group. And the harshest contrast, let's talk about Ariel. When Disney announced that Halle Bailey, a young, insanely talented black woman, would play Ariel in the live-action Little Mermaid show, it was not met with the same love. White audiences, they raged. People made petitions demanding a true-to-color Ariel. Oh my god. I'm even having PTSD. Memes and tweets, they actually mocked the idea of a black mermaid.
Not my Ariel. Not my Ariel.
Like somehow, sucking crabs and underwater kingdoms, they were fine, but melanin, that was just too unrealistic. One woman even said that her childhood was going in the trash, all because of a casting decision. Hattie herself later said that she expected the backlash. She wasn't surprised because as a black girl, she's grown up knowing how the world responds to blackness. And yet, despite all those noise, the joy in the black community was so undeniable. Videos flooded the internet, black parents, they were filming their children, sobbing with happiness because they've seen a princess that looks like them. That kind of visibility matters, representation matters, and that is the difference. So yes, hashtag gingers are black is very, very heartwarming. It shows how performative solidarity can still carry love, but it's also a reminder that not all stories are the same. Not all struggles match, and true allyship, it means celebrating connection without confusing identity.
I do think that redheads are kind of like the light skins or the black people of white people, and because of that, we will always have like a certain bond, I think, with other minorities.
I don't mess with this. I don't like it. I don't know what started this conversation. I think someone said all gingers are black, and now here we are. Most people are just having fun with this conversation, not taking it too seriously, a lot of satire, things of that nature. But I'm a party pooper. I'm here to hate. Because hear me out, when you really look at the statement, the black people of white people, what the hell does that even mean? What you're doing is you're essentially using black people to be synonymous with oppression. And you can't tell me that's not weird. This is like a skinny girl with an unattractive face saying, even though I'm skinny, I constantly get made fun of for my face. So in a sense, if you think about it, I'm kind of like the fat people of skinny people. Do you guys see how ridiculous that sounds? What does the overweight community have to do with your ugly face? I understand the objective is to relate to a certain group of people, but if this isn't the most backhanded way to do so, then I don't know what is.
The contrast is stark. The hashtag gingers are black trend, it was a very gentle, playful invitation. It welcomed redheads into a space of warmth, humor, and shared appreciation. It was black people just extending the circle, but the Little Mermaid controversy, that was the opposite. That was what it looks like when a black person tries to take up space in traditionally white narratives, and the reaction wasn't playful, it was so furious. Some people even started sarcastically saying, make Ariel black again, as if she's ever been that before. Other people even argued that Disney should have just invented a black mermaid instead, since they wanted to be all about diversity. So they told Disney that, like, if you care so much about diversity, you could have invented a black mermaid. That kind of rhetoric is familiar. It's the same thinly veiled hostility that always seems to surface when black people step into roles or spaces that were previously defaulted as white, and is the voice of gatekeeping that has been disguised as nostalgia. So here's what that really means. Anytime black people are included, not even centered, just included, there is a pushback, there are questions, there is outrage. Why change it? Why insert race into everything? But when a white or a ginger person just steps back into black narrative spaces, even as a joke, it's rarely treated with the same scrutiny. More often, it's seen as harmless, it's seen as cute, it's even just a meme. And that is not just a double standard, it's a racial comfort imbalance. One group is allowed to play, it's allowed to borrow, it's allowed to remix. The other is just told to stay in their lane. The hashtag gingers are black videos, they are widely celebrated. They got coverage on platforms like The Roots, even BT wrote an article on it. They were praised as sweet kinship moments. People found them very charming, they found them endearing. Nobody panicked. But flip that for a second. Imagine if black creators launched a viral hashtag like all black people are ginger or all black people are white. Not even seriously, just like this silly trend. You already know how that will go. That would get so misinterpreted. They will be mocked. People will be flooded with think pieces, and people will quote tweets calling it cringe, just saying that black people are confused. It will go viral, but not because we are being shown love, but because it's for the wrong reason. And I hope no black person is going around saying that they are white. The reason I'm sitting here saying that gingers are not black is because those two identities are not interchangeable, and trying to swap them even affectionately just ends up exposing just how charged these categories really are. You can't meme your way into a lived experience. You can't TikTok your way into ancestry. A red-haired Irish American girl might feel out of place among blonde Californians. She might get teased, she might hear nasty comments about her appearances, and that pain is real, but she still benefits from white privilege every single day. Blackness, on the other hand, is still a social risk in America and across much of the world. It means navigating a minefield of stereotype, microaggressions, institutional bias, and racialized violence. Literally, you go to a mall, and if there's a black person and a white person, or if there's a redhead and a black person, who gets followed across the mall? The black person. That's not something you can just borrow for a trend. Just to be clear, pointing out these differences isn't about gatekeeping pain. It's not about denying redheads their struggle or just saying only certain people deserve comfort. It's quite the opposite. The beauty of the Gingers Are Black movement just lies in compassion, in the way that it showed that everyone, no matter their background, wants to be seen, accepted, and loved. That instinct to reach across difference is human, and trust me, it is good. But genuine solidarity is more than a meme. It asks for context. It asks us to recognize not just the feeling of being an outsider, but the system to create those feelings and how those systems don't treat all outsiders the same. It means saying your pain is real while also saying, but mine is shaped by a different weight. And also people will be like, oh my god, it's not that deep, it's just a TikTok trend. But yes, it's still the same channel of TikTok that also condemned Hailey Bailey because she was Little Mermaid. Literally, it's still that same channel. And again, we can comfort the redheads who were mocked for their freckles. We should, but we can also be honest that experience, however painful, isn't equivalent to surviving the legacy of chattel slavery, anti-black policing, housing discrimination, or centuries of being told that your skin makes you dangerous.
Very first person in life to ever call me an N-word was a redhead, was a ginger. And so I just want to come in here and say I full stop do not appreciate this conversation, and I want it wrapped up, not by end of day, I want it wrapped up now. And because I do believe in naming and shaming, the very first person to ever call me the N-word to my face was Nick Rosen of South Suburban Illinois. Maybe he might be in Indiana now. I do believe in naming and shaming Nick Rosen. And I'll never forget it because it had to be like 6th grade or 7th grade, and it was around the time that South Park episode either had just come out and or was kind of trending in like the online OG kind of MySpace, maybe even early Twitter days, where everyone was kind of focused on like gingers and daywalkers and all of those things. So I remember we were walking home from school, and me and my 3 best friends at the time, who were all palm colored, I was in 6th grade, just moved to the south suburbs from Chicago, and I'll never forget because the conversation was, would you rather be black or would you rather be a ginger? And of course, I would. You get it. Anyway, outside of that segue, that was the kind of conversation as we were walking home. And I remember I doubled down and was just like, yeah, I'd much rather be black. I'm happy with my blackness. I love being black. Like, cool. And I probably didn't really love being black back then, but like I was content. Especially because I was kind of in that Oreo phase. People did call me an Oreo, and at that time in my life, I did take that as a sense of pride. Looking back, obviously, I know that was the wrong thing, but give me grace. I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I remember he looked at me and it was just like, I'd much rather be a redhead or a ginger. I don't remember what he said, because I wouldn't want to be an N-word. He didn't just say I wouldn't want to be black. He said I'd much rather be a redhead because I don't want to be an N-word, and said it directly to my face and looked at me. And of course, I didn't know what to say. My 3 best friends at the time didn't say anything in defense of me, other than maybe kind of just like, I can't believe he said that. But like, I didn't even know what to say. I just had to double down and saying, yeah, well, I just much rather be black. And I will never forget that. And I'm saying this because I don't find this conversation interesting. I don't find it entertaining. I don't find it funny, especially with the whole quadroon situation, if that's even the right word, from like Sinners. And I just find it so interesting that it used to be in this country a sense of pride, and I'm not saying it's a good thing to like align yourself with more white ancestry, and all of a sudden everyone wants to align themselves with more having black ancestry, especially with the conversation on the Pope, when these people, to me, they're white. They're white. Haley Steinfeld, the Pope, they're white. And I don't find it interesting. I don't find it funny. I don't know why we're in this kind of phase where everyone wants to be black, but no one actually wants to deal with the blackness that comes with it, the struggles, the racial discrimination, the lack of being able to get jobs, the lack of being able to get federal funding, the lack of being able to vote appropriately, the lack of support, the lack of it all. Everyone wants to co-opt the language, the coolness, the swag, all of that, but no one actually wants to deal with the hardship. And I'm speaking to people like Sophia LaCourte or whatever her name is. Like, this is someone who wants to deal with that. She wants to live in her pretty, privileged, skinny, white bubble just because she's a redhead. You don't face the same microaggressions. And don't get me wrong, I will say all this to say I do love me a good redhead. Jessica Chastain, love her down. Eats every time. I love red hair. But let's not act like there aren't black redheads. Like, I just want this conversation done. And again, I do believe in naming and shaming. So thank you, Nick Rosen. I do remember when you called me an N-word.
I don't know where this trend of gingers, redheads being told that they're black is coming from, but you are not black. And I will tell you that to your face. I have dated redheaded white men in my past. They never felt the need to act like they were black. Yes, they have the same trials as far as being different and being ostracized because of having red hair and freckles. That does not make them black, though. And I don't understand why black people are sitting here co-signing this shit. It's just another way to continue disrespecting us as black people. I'm not having it, okay? Redheads are who they are. They are beautiful just the way they are. They are not black, though. Okay? Let's clear that up. All right. Class is in session.
Social media just gave us a very sweet moment, one where black creators embraced redheads and redheads responded with humility and gratitude. That is worth celebrating, but let's not lose the thread. Red hair is a unique trait. It's not a cultural identity. It's a variation within whiteness. It's not an alternative to blackness. Can black albinos say they are white? Can they say they are white? If albinos come out and be like, oh my god, I'm white, do you know how they would be treated? Just like albinos, some of them are not treated fairly as some redheads are not treated fairly in the white community. If a black albino comes out, would they say, oh my god, I'm white? If they said, oh my god, I'm white, how would they be treated? Would they be received? We can honor our shared human origins. We can honor the ancient African roots in every genome, but we can also acknowledge that race as it exists now is shaped by power and history, and it's not something that you inherit through a gene mutation. It's something imposed, resisted, navigated, often at great cost. This TikTok movement, like so many online trends, was part silly, part serious, but that's what makes it powerful. It gave us a glimpse into how identity is formed and felt, and it also showed how eager we are to connect and how easily those connections can either heal or confuse. In the end, what matters is not just feeling solidarity, but also understanding it. Ginger hair can be stunning. Blackness is beautiful. Our differences don't have to divide us, but they do deserve to be named, honestly. So if you're a redhead who's felt unseen, I just want to say that I see you, and I'm glad that you felt held, but I also know your story is not mine, and that is totally okay. That is all okay. We can love each other without pretending that we are the same. So guys, thank you so much for being with me. Oh my god, I really appreciate you guys hanging on with me. If you reached the end, kindly like, share, subscribe if you care. I hope this has not ruffled any feathers. You all know anything I do from a place of love, but someone who has been racially profiled heavily, literally racially abused. Honestly, I just had to come out and say this. I've received so much racial abuse from customers. So honestly, I hope you guys understand that this is coming from a place of love. I love everybody, but the truth just had to be said. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end, kindly drop a love emoji, because everything is about love. And I hope I was able to convince you that gingers are not black people. That being said, see you next week. Bye.